Hey everyone, I've got a wild story for you today. It's about my life, my family, and the revenge I got on my wedding day after being treated like I was invisible for as long as I can remember. If you've ever felt like the black sheep of the family, this one's for you. Let me start by saying that I grew up in the shadow of my golden child, sister, Emily. From the moment I was born, my parents were all about her. She was their miracle child, the one they'd been waiting for. And I was, well, let's just say I wasn't planned. I wasn't what they expected. And I think that resentment grew over the years. Everything was about Emily. If she accused me of something, they believed her, no questions asked. If I showed proof that I was right, they'd punish me too and let her off easy. Can you imagine the frustration? I'd be in trouble for things I didn't do while she got away with everything. My birthday cakes always had her favorite flavor, even though I hated it. And if I wanted something, it was always, for Emily's sake, instead. It felt like I didn't even exist in my own home. As we got older, things didn't get any better. Emily's behavior started to spiral, and she lost all her friends. I'm not sure what happened, maybe they couldn't stand her attitude anymore, but I noticed that she was alone. The ironic thing was that when I finally got a little popular at school, that's when she decided I was her new target. She started accusing me of all sorts of things. If I wanted to hang out with my friends, my parents would say things like, "Why can't you be more like Emily? Why do you always want to leave the family?" It was suffocating. The worst part? She got to keep doing whatever she wanted, while I was stuck at home, with no friends, no freedom, just endless judgment. There was one moment that really opened my eyes. I was invited to a family gathering, and when I said I wasn't allowed to go anywhere because of Emily, my little confession made it back to the adults. They were furious. My parents scolded me, grounded me for a month. But oddly enough, after that, they gave me a bit more freedom. I guess it was worth it in the end. Fast forward to high school. I got my first boyfriend. And of course, Emily couldn't leave me alone. She started flirting with him in front of me, trying to make me look like the bad one. When he tried to escape her advances, she turned it all around and claimed that he was the one flirting with her. Naturally, my parents believed her, and when I did manage to get another boyfriend, she accused him of flirting with her too. I couldn't win. All my relationships were doomed before they even started because my parents always sided with her. I felt like I was living in a constant state of chaos. Eventually, Emily graduated and went to college, or at least, that's what my parents made it sound like. They celebrated her achievements nonstop. Meanwhile, I was getting straight A's. But when I did well, no one cared. It was always, well, you always get those grades, so why should we celebrate? But the kicker came when it was my turn to talk about college. My parents told me they couldn't afford to send me, especially since they were paying for Emily's tuition. They insisted I work after graduation and wait until she finished her college degree. They also said if I stayed home, I'd have to pay for my own stuff. I didn't fight back. I was used to it. But deep down, I was heartbroken. I worked hard for years, and this was how they treated me. But things changed when I got a scholarship to college. It wasn't Harvard or anything, but it was a solid opportunity, and I knew I had to take it. I posted about it on social media, even though I didn't want to. Why? Because I knew my parents would try to stop me, and I needed to force their hand. And it worked. For the first time in my life, they couldn't ignore my achievements. That's when things really took a turn. Now, fast forward to my wedding day. After everything my family put me through, my husband and I had a very different plan. We didn't care much for the ceremony, but we decided to hold it in my hometown because his family was spread out. My parents, of course, wanted to be involved in everything, and they made it clear they wanted to make the wedding about Emily, like everything else. They even asked if Emily could walk down the aisle before me. Can you believe that? My wedding day was supposed to be mine, but they wanted to make it about her. That was the last straw. So, my husband came up with a plan. We decided we'd play along with their ridiculous idea. He pretended to be on board with everything, even though he was secretly recording everything. The goal? To get them to think they were in control while we manipulated the situation for maximum chaos. We chose the lowest price options for everything, and of course, when Emily saw that, she demanded my parents pay for the best of everything. They happily complied, thinking they were doing something nice. We did the same with the flowers, the photographer, and the wedding dress. My mom tried to get me to wear an ugly dress, but I stood my ground and refused. On the big day, we were ready. My parents and Emily thought they were running the show. But my husband had secretly hired security to stop Emily from entering the venue. When she arrived in her wedding dress, the security refused to let her in. Chaos erupted. My dad tried to argue, but he couldn't do anything. I walked down the aisle in my dress, with my parents and sister outside, completely humiliated. It was sweet justice. The wedding was mine, and it felt amazing to finally take back control. The aftermath was just as satisfying. My parents tried to damage control, but they couldn't hide the fact that they had been exposed. My sister threw a tantrum, screaming and crying, while I stood there, proud of the fact that I had finally taken a stand. We didn't even need to escalate things further. The public humiliation they suffered was enough. They tried to ruin my wedding, but in the end, I got the satisfaction of knowing they couldn't touch it. It's been a long road, and I would have preferred to have a loving family, but sometimes life doesn't go as planned. What my parents did to me was unfair, but in the end, I got my revenge. I married the love of my life, and I don't have to live under their shadow anymore. So, if you're going through something similar, remember that sometimes the best way to handle a situation is to take control of your own life and not let others dictate your happiness. And if that means a little bit of revenge along the way, well, who can blame you? Thanks for watching, and if you liked this, don't forget to subscribe for more crazy stories.